It's 2 a.m. You are sitting on your couch scrolling through your phone when your dog suddenly stops. They freeze in their tracks, their ears pinned back, and they stare dead into the empty pitch-black corner of your hallway. You see absolutely nothing. But what if I told you they aren't staring at empty space? Science now proves that your dog's eyes are structurally built to see a reality invisible to human biology. So what exactly is standing in your hallway? For centuries, we've chalked up this terrifying midnight behavior to ghosts, spirits, or just a hyperactive canine imagination. It is a shared psychological experience that spans across the globe. From quiet suburban homes in the United States to isolated wooden cabins deep in Norway, every dog owner knows this exact moment. We brush it off to comfort ourselves. We laugh and tell them nothing is there. But the truth is actually far more unsettling. Your dog is experiencing a physical reality layered right on top of yours. In the next few minutes, we are going to look through their eyes. You will discover the hidden spectrum of light they process, the imperceptible biological frequencies they hear, and the ancient survival mechanisms waking up in their brains. This isn't about the supernatural or the paranormal. It is about a biological surveillance system that never sleeps. And what scientists found changes everything you thought you knew about your dog. To understand what your dog is staring at, you first have to realize that your vision is fundamentally broken. Human eyes are incredibly limited by our evolution. We only see a microscopic fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. We need bright light to make sense of our surroundings. But your dog operates on a completely different, highly sensitive visual frequency. In 2014, a groundbreaking study by City University London completely shattered our understanding of mammalian vision. Biologists physically examined the ocular lenses of dozens of different mammals. They found that unlike humans, dogs possess specialized lenses that allow ultraviolet light to pass directly through to their retinas. You look into a hallway and see a dark, empty room. Your dog looks into that same hallway and sees a glowing ultraviolet landscape. Materials that absorb UV light appear pitch black to them. Materials that reflect it glow with intense brightness. This completely changes how a house looks after dark. Think about what that actually means in your living room. Biological traces, synthetic fibers, and microscopic shifts in the environment light up like neon signs. When your dog stares down the dark hallway, they might be watching glowing, swirling dust particles reacting to a sudden temperature drop. They might be seeing the fading ultraviolet footprint of a mouse that ran across the floor hours ago. They are witnessing a luminescent, invisible world superimposed over your dark home. They are reading a visual history of the room, but their vision is only a fraction of the story, because while their eyes are painting a glowing map of the dark, their ears are picking up the terrifying soundtrack that comes with it. If ultraviolet vision is their radar, their hearing is their biological sonar lock. Your dog doesn't just see the unseen, they can actually hear it moving and breathing. Human hearing peaks at around 20,000 hertz. Anything above that threshold is dead, absolute silence to our ears. We assume the night is quiet. Your dog, however, hears frequencies up to 45,000 hertz. Some breeds can even detect sonic vibrations as high as 65,000 hertz. A 2019 study published by the University of Toledo analyzed canine auditory processing in standard domestic environments. The researchers placed hypersensitive, high-frequency microphones in normal, quiet homes. The results of the acoustic data were staggering. What humans perceive as a peaceful, silent house is actually a deafening symphony of high-frequency noise. They hear the electrical hum of your wall outlets struggling with power surges. They hear the high-pitched rhythmic screech of your Wi-Fi router processing data. They hear the subtle vibrations of water pipes deep inside your drywall. But it gets much more organic and unsettling than that. Termites chewing through wood framing in your basement emit high-frequency snaps. A spider moving its legs across a web in the ceiling corner creates a distinct structural acoustic signature. When your dog freezes and stares upwards, they aren't looking at a ghost. They are listening to the exact location of a beetle crawling inside the plaster. Their brain is instantly calculating the trajectory of an insect you didn't even know existed. They triangulate these microsounds with lethal, predatory precision. But what happens when the sound isn't coming from an insect in the walls? What happens when the trigger is actually coming from you? Because the most startling thing your dog detects in the dark isn't part of the house. It is happening inside your own bloodstream. We often use the phrase that dogs can smell fear. Most people think this is just a poetic metaphor for intuition, but it is a literal, quantifiable biological function. Your dog's nose is a highly advanced, rapidly computing chemical analyzer. It possesses up to 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to our pitiful 6 million. The portion of their brain devoted solely to analyzing complex odors is 40 times larger than ours. But how does this immense computing power relate to them staring into the dark? In 2018, researchers at the University of Naples Federico II conducted a fascinating behavioral experiment. They collected chemical sweat samples from humans experiencing intense emotions, specifically deep fear and pure joy. When domestic dogs were exposed to the fear sweat samples, their physiological responses shifted immediately. Their heart rate spiked, and they actively sought comfort from their owners. In the dark, your body undergoes microscopic involuntary shifts. If you hear a floorboard creak, your adrenal glands instantly release a microdose of adrenaline. You might not even realize you are genuinely scared yet, but your dog does. They smell the chemical shift in your sweat the exact second it happens. When they stare into the dark corner, they might just be tracking an unseen scent plume drifting through the air. But very often, they are physically reacting to you. They sense your micro-anxieties. They smell the cortisol rising rapidly in the room, and they go on high alert to locate the invisible threat you are unknowingly projecting. They are acting as your biological shield. They are responding to your silent chemical alarm. But this intense protective instinct goes back much further than the living room couch. It is rooted in a primal, violent mechanism that has survived inside their DNA for over 30,000 years. To truly understand your dog in the dark, you have to strip away the leather collar and the cozy orthopedic bed. Underneath all of our modern conditioning, you are living with an apex predator. Every domestic dog, from a massive Great Dane to a tiny Chihuahua, shares a profound genetic link with the grey wolf. And wolves are highly efficient nocturnal hunters. A 2021 study by the University of Massachusetts Medical School sequenced the complex genomes of modern dogs and ancient wolves. They looked specifically at the genetic coding for behavioral traits. They discovered that the genetic blueprint for nocturnal hyper-vigilance remains almost entirely intact in our domestic pets. When the sun goes down, an ancient, unstoppable switch flips in your dog's brain. During the day, they are relaxed, trusting the hierarchy of the pack, which is you. But at night, their dormant predatory instincts awaken from thousands of years of slumber. They experience a neurological phenomenon known as twilight agitation. Their pupils dilate significantly to capture fading photons. Their tapetum lucidum, the reflective biological mirror behind their retina, activates to maximize night vision. They are aggressively scanning for movement, mapping out potential threat vectors in the pitch black. That sudden, intense stare into the hallway is an evolutionary hangover. They are standing guard against massive predators that went entirely extinct thousands of years ago. To their ancient brain, your hallway becomes a dangerous prehistoric forest edge. They are protecting the cave from the unseen dangers of the night. And in this modern concrete cave, you are the most valuable asset they have. But all of these hypersenses, the UV vision, the ultrasonic hearing, the chemical detection, do not operate independently. They converge to create one specific psychological phenomenon, and it leads to the most terrifying realization of all. When you finally combine these superhuman senses, you realize something profoundly unsettling. Your dog is never actually staring at nothing. In 2022, a behavioral science study from Eötvös-Loránd University in Hungary mapped canine eye tracking data against complex environmental stimuli. They measured exactly how dogs process completely invisible data. The researchers concluded that dogs experience a neurological phenomenon called sensory stacking. They don't just see an isolated UV reflection, or hear a random high-pitched hum, or smell a faint odor. Their powerful brains instantly merge all three streams of invisible data into a solid, three-dimensional mental projection. When your dog stares into the dark hallway, their brain has essentially rendered an invisible entity. It could be the thermal heat signature of a draft, perfectly combined with the ultrasonic click of a settling pipe, heavily mixed with the fading cortisol scent of your own anxiety. To our flawed human eyes, the space is completely empty. To your dog, A highly complex, multi-dimensional phantom is standing right there in the living room. They are looking directly at a physical manifestation of data that human biology is entirely blind to. They aren't hallucinating. They aren't imagining ghosts. They are just experiencing the real, terrifyingly complex world. We are the ones who are completely blind. So tonight at 2 a.m. when your dog suddenly freezes, when their ears pin back tightly, and they lock their eyes on the pitch-black corner of the room, don't brush it off as their silly imagination. And definitely don't assume the room is actually empty. They are witnessing the glowing, humming chemical reality that violently surrounds us every single second. They are translating the invisible universe into a language of protective silence. You don't need to fear the dark. You just need to trust the ancient guardian who actually sees right through it. If exploring the hidden psychology and dark science of our world fascinates you, make sure to subscribe so you never miss our next investigation. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your answer below. What is the absolute creepiest thing your dog has ever done in the middle of the night?